Well, good morning. I'm meteorologist Ed Curran. We're breaking in because we have to keep people safe, and we're taking a look at a new tornado warning that has just come up. This is a radar-indicated tornado. That means it's aloft, indicated by radar. We haven't seen it on the ground. That doesn't make it any less serious because it is a tornado warning. This is in Newton County, and it goes until 10:45. These are very short-lived tornadoes that we've seen today downstate, and also in DuPage County we had a radar-indicated tornado. This is in Newton County. It goes till 10:45, radar-indicated. You're looking at the system right here, and a very powerful storm, a severe thunderstorm that has the capability of spawning a tornado. So we're watching this very, very carefully. This just came up in the past 90 seconds or so. It was located over Brook or near Morocco, moving northeast at 35 miles an hour. Radar indicated tornado, so moving north at 35 miles per hour. This is in Newton County, Indiana, just south of Lake County, Indiana. And you have to take cover if you're in this area. I want you to be safe. Take cover in an interior room if you don't have a basement. Put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible. And if you do have a multi-level house or a house that has a basement, go in the basement. That's probably the safest place for you to be. But in interior room, no windows, as many walls as you can between you and the storm outside. We're taking a look at Doppler winds here and trying to locate anything that might give us the indication of the tornado, and you would think that it's right in this area here. Laura, you agree with that? Is that what we're looking at with all the I think so, yeah, because this...
Based on what I'm looking at as far as the rotation and where we're seeing with the storm, I just wanted to cue it up a little bit here. But yeah, that does look to be more of the variety that we're looking for. You know, and Ed, we were talking earlier too about how these tornado warnings, they're lasting 15 minutes or so. So there's a really, really unsettled atmosphere that we're working with. And it's enough to give us these brief spin-up tornadoes. So they're likely not going to be on the ground for a long period of time. But as Ed's been saying multiple times, you know, a tornado is a tornado, radar indicated or not. In this environment, for those that are going to be in Newton, Jasper counties, as these are moving over your area, you do have to be ready to be jumping into your tornado safe place, and that's going to be the lowest level of your home, as we mentioned before. But as far as the severe thunderstorm and the tornadic activity that we're seeing, this line and these thunderstorms do have a history of tornadoes that do not last for very long, but they are enough to get down on the ground, possibly do some damage. So let's swing it back over to Ed. I'm going to get a track on this for you so we can get some better guidance as far as some of the towns that are going to be impacted. But certainly for those in Newton and Jasper counties, they are under a tornado watch until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I do think that's a little too long, but likely even as these thunderstorms move through, have that tornadic potential, which was why we are on the air now with that tornado warning until 10:45. So let's switch gears. Ed, I'm going to get you a track on that, and let's see if we can see some more communities that are going to be impacted. So like out toward Rensselaer too, also. Yeah.
You see Mount Air here. This is one of the areas where it is tracking toward. And even as you take a look at this radar-indicated tornado area that we have here, it's moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So Mount Air is one of those areas. A lot of this through here is rural areas, very sparsely populated rural areas. So that's the good news, that the storm that's capable of producing a tornado is moving through areas that are pretty sparsely populated. 10:45 is when this expires, but if it hangs together longer, 10:46, you're talking about Newton, Surrey at 10:57 as this continues to move up in this area. So just to give you an overview you where you are, Mount Air is here. The tornado is spotted down here and moving up to the northeast at 35 miles an hour. Radar indicated tornado. You want to take cover, be in a low part of the house or in an interior room with as many walls as you can have between you and the storm. Rensselaer just to the east of it, and this continues tracking up toward, Newton County and into Jasper County and Newton County and up into areas like Porter County eventually. So these storms are going up toward Porter County. That doesn't mean that it'll stay as strong as it is now, but that's the general area that it's tracking toward. So these are strong storms in this unstable environment to the south. This area to the south, by the way, Jasper County, Newton County, areas to the south of there are all under a tornado watch now because the environment is so favorable for the formation of tornadoes. Laura has zoomed out here so we can see where this is. This includes portions of Illinois. Here's Champaign County. Tornado watch goes until 3 p.m. and includes Benton County, Iroquois County, Jasper, and Newton as well. Comes up darn close to the top tier of counties, which is Lake. That's the next county up, and Porter County and LaPorte County. So we have to watch this carefully as the strongest storms are down in this region, and this is where we had two sighted tornadoes, two tornadoes on the ground earlier and tracking to the northeast. And so these storms that we watched earlier that spawned these tornadoes have now moved up into these areas of Newton County and Jasper County and continue to make their northeast trek. The tornado warning we have right now is a radar indicated tornado warning in Newton County. It's headed toward the area of Mount Air. It's going through a lot of rural areas and then heading up toward the area of Newton. Mount Air is right here where this brightest pixel you're looking at is located, and Newton is over to this direction. So the whole storm is moving this way, and again, the tornadoes associated with these storms have been very short-lived. It's just the kind of environment that we're in. These things spin up, and then they're with us for a very short time. They may not touch down. This one is radar indicated. It's aloft, but that still makes them dangerous and still means you have to take cover because the storm itself that these are in are still very powerful storms and have been severe storms and have been very prolific lightning producers as well. And that's probably one of the biggest dangers that you can have out of storms like this. The environment in Chicago was settling down, and then we had this little spin-up tornado came up in the Naperville area a little while ago, and that has now gotten out of here. But these strong storms here coming out of the western suburbs into the heart of Chicago right now, you can see from Evanston going all the way down to the Eisenhower Expressway. This is a very powerful storm, and we had concerns about this storm a little while ago because it had exhibited some rotation. And when we see rotation, we know that that can be the indicator for a tornado. So we're watching that very carefully as it comes into the city here. And now I see that we have another system coming our way that's caused us some concern here. This is a weather alert.
So, you know, we're talking still about Northwest Indiana and what's happening in that direction. We have another tornado warning that was just issued. So this one is another area that's actually just near Newton off toward the north and east. And I think this, Ed, was another area that you and I were kind of pinpointing, thinking, okay, there may be something happening over here.
Absolutely.
But here is this one. This is right over near Keener. This is capable. Again, we have not seen, as far as reports go, actual visualization on this, but there is still that brief tornado potential. We actually just got another report out toward the Naperville area that there was a brief touchdown. Again, brief is the key word on this one. That's the atmosphere that we're working with here. It is brief. A tornado is still capable of causing damage and threat to property and lives on that, which is why we're going to continue to stay on top of this until that storm threat has completely cleared. But we are watching those two areas, Northwest Indiana, which we now have another tornado warning. So I want to send that back over to you. Let's get a good track on this.
Okay, now is this a continuation of the one we've been watching here? Is this at the north end of those storms?
This is a second one.
So this is a second one, and this one has been posted for a half hour. Now that's interesting because many of these have been posted for 15-minute increments. This one here is posted for a good half hour till 11:15 for, and this is what I was just talking about, these storms riding up through Jasper, from Newton through Jasper, and now to Porter County. We had shown you how the track of these would take it up toward Porter County, and indeed it has. And next stop on this would be LaPorte County. So these are moving northeast. They've been moving at about 35 miles per hour. A lot of this area down here is sparsely populated, but obviously as you start to get up to Porter County, you start to see a greater concentration of population up there as the storm moves in. Again, we do not have a tornado on the ground associated with this, but with these brief tornadoes, it's hard to see if you do have a touchdown, and it's sometimes you got to leave it up to the public to give you some kind of an indication that it touched down, and then we can compare any sightings with radar at that moment and get a confirmation that something has touched down on the ground. But currently, this tornado warning here that goes till 11:15, you're talking about Dewey at 11:08. 11 o'clock, it's Clancerate. I'm not familiar with that area. Dewey, of course, and then La Crosse Elementary, as this tracks into La Crosse County, as we said, we had to keep an eye on. So this is going up we've got a tornado warning down in Newton County, coming up into Jasper County here and continuing on into LaPorte County. So we're keeping a very close eye on this. Both of these tornadoes in Indiana have been radar indicated tornadoes. They haven't been tornadoes that have touched down on the ground. And we continue to watch this for any signs of any kind of touchdown, any reports of any kind of touchdown that could come our way. So take cover if you are in these areas. This latest tornado warning goes until 11:15 this morning, and it tracks up through this area. Now, Laura, maybe we can take a look. Has the other one in Newton County been dropped here as this continues to move to the north? Perhaps Newton has been dropped at this time because it is coming up on its expiration anyway. No, this is the second one, and Newton's still here, and is due to be here for another 2 minutes. I want to make sure it didn't expire early. So Newton warning is still here for a couple of minutes, and you're looking at Newton County, and you're looking at it moving into areas toward Jasper County as well. And then the second one we just told you about is in Jasper County, and it's headed toward Porter County, and it's a warning that's up until 11:15 this morning. So very active weather as you move to the south of Chicago into this juicier atmosphere, and an atmosphere in which you have just enough shear, just enough, as Laura said, a twist in the atmosphere that can give you tornado formation, if not on the ground, a tornado formation aloft, which is what we're looking at here in Newton County and Jasper County and moving up to Porter County and eventually LaPorte County as this whole area continues to slide this way. And here are the storms as they're looking right now, and you can see this is a very, very powerful storm. The purples you're looking at here, these are just northeast or northwest of Wheatfield. Very, very powerful storm that's moving up in this direction. We're taking a look for hail here. We don't see any hail associated with these. These storms, as you noted this morning, we had some thunder and lightning associated with some of these storms, some of it very prolific thunder and lightning, but we haven't had many reports of any kind of hail, more warm storms that are coming through here, more like a tropical environment moving through. Laura, do we have an update there?
Yeah, you know what? We're kind of getting into the point now where this particular tornado warning, the one in Newton County, has expired. So that one is now over, which is good news.
10:45,
but
yeah.
The 10:45, so it was right on schedule as far as that 15-minute expiration from when it was initially first issued. But now it's that other storm that we have the tornado warning for. And that one has, again, a little bit of a time lapse on that one. That one's about 11:15 or so. I checked the hail component on that because there were some reports that there were potentially hail to the size of quarters. When you have quarter-size hail, that'll likely cause some damage. And then also we have that tornado warning that's been pegged with that, and it has that fairly decent clip. And just like that, as I spoke, you know, if you're looking at your screen right now, I just want to kind of show you what we are dealing with here. Tornado warnings are picking up left and right. We had that one tornado warning that was out toward Newton County that expired as of the last minute or so, but then the National Weather Service just issued another tornado warning, again with that same storm. As it continues moving north and east, it's going to continue to prompt and really pose that threat for a brief isolated tornado. So now we have yet again another tornado warning. This one again radar indicated for Jasper County until 11:15. So Newton, if you are in Newton County, especially into the eastern sections of the county, I'm going to say just hold out a little while longer until these storms have completely cleared out, in the event that there is a brief tornado that does kind of prompt for a quick tornado warning. But as we see this moving into an area that's favorable for these brief spin-up tornadoes, we're likely going to continue to see these tornado warnings being issued, and for a little bit longer of a time span. We have about a 30-minute time span where we are looking for this threat. Ed, why don't you take it over? I lost my computer over here, just lost some communication. So I'm going to get this up to speed,
all right,
but I'll continue to guide you on the radar.
Okay, all right. So Laura just told us the tornado warning in Newton County expired. And within a minute or so of it expiring, they issued another one carrying it with the same storm. So when it expired, they looked at it and they still saw some rotation. And they said, we better keep the tornado warning with this. So the Newton County tornado warning remains, and you can see as we look into Jasper County and Porter County, we have the other tornado warning that's moving up this way, and that tornado warning also radar indicated. So with these storms moving up to the northeast, we've had two tornado warnings now. We had another before that, all radar indicated in these areas. Now, we had an earlier one that was in Naperville, and later we got a report that it did touch down briefly. So that one in Naperville, and it took a while to get reports from the public that they saw it, and probably some photos or something like that. You can't always see a tornado. They can be wrapped in rain, so you have to be extremely careful. That's why we say take cover, even in radar indicated tornadoes, which is, to me, as good as a tornado. You want to take cover. It's a rotation tracker. It shows you where rotation is. Here's Keener, and here, these yellows you see here show weak rotation at these points. So it gives you an indication that there's some rotation, and when the National Weather Service sees enough of this sort of thing in an area, they issue a tornado warning, because if you have rotation that's aloft, that rotation can come down at ground level and give you a tornado on the ground and give you a tornado emergency. Actually, that was kind of interesting. What you just showed us there a second ago was the rotation tracker, and it was in our western suburbs out in DuPage County, where we had the earlier tornadoes, and you could see some rotation that was out in that area too.
And speaking of that, Ed, you know, we were talking about that, and we were doing live coverage saying we're really not seeing much, but we're actually starting to get some more reports that Out toward the Warrenville area, there was a train spotter that reported there were some trees that were uprooted near Mill Street and Deal Road. Really kind of a busy area, but yeah, these severe thunderstorms and these tornadoes, although we keep saying they're brief, they're not lasting long, but likely as we are watching these move across the area, they are enough to uproot trees, cause some issues. And I've also seen a couple other additional reports that there were some objects that were thrown around. So these thunderstorms and these tornado warnings should not be taken lightly and should be taken seriously, especially for those that are really going to be into northwest Indiana. That's a storm threat that we had out toward DuPage. It does appear that that has passed through the area. The radar, again, we still have some activity farther north where we're seeing more so that light rain, but where you're seeing some of those brighter colors that's now moving just north of Chicago. That was that little area that moved through DuPage County and gave us those issues and seeing some of those damage. We're at the point that now that that storm has moved out of that one particular area, we're going to see and hear about more reports as we have people out and about. It's the midday hours. People are likely going on their lunch break, going out for appointments, and that's going to help us kind of give a better indication as far as what's happening with these thunderstorms. Again, it is in an environment where it is favorable for these tornadoes, and we're really focusing now and shifting into northwest Indiana. So if we're not particularly talking about your thunderstorm and what's happening in your backyard, we're not saying that it's not important. It is very important to us, but obviously we have two current tornado warnings in effect for Jasper County, and it's going to see that the overlap, there's two of them just north and really south of Valparaiso going into Porter and LaPorte County. So folks in that direction certainly want to take heed as far as the warning goes and notice that this is going to be moving in your direction, and we're going to continue to stay with you until this threat has completely passed. We have that tornado watch in effect until 3 o'clock for these areas really farther south with a focus into Indiana. And as you can see with that brief tornado threat, it is enough that we are seeing some damage and hearing reports of trees being uprooted and objects being flown around due to that atmosphere twist and the wind component too. We also have that wind advisory too. Winds are really nasty out there.
Yes, they are. We have a wind advisory to the south of Chicago, and those winds gusting out there, they're expected to be very strong up until about noon today, and then they start to settle down. Also, the majority of the storms move on, and you may look at these two tornado warnings that we have, and you say, well, you know, these are moving northeast while the entire line of storms is moving to the east. Soon it'll be out of here and we'll be done with it. But no, to the south of us, as you start to get down well south and into central Illinois, you're taking a look at a tornado watch that is up that goes till 3 p.m. So the threat is still there for areas to the south to be able to generate tornadoes, an environment that is possible to create tornadoes here. You can see the spin of this system, and there's more to come through, particularly for areas to the south. And that's why this reaches all the way up into Newton County and Jasper County and Porter County as this continues to track this way and has a push with it, has those extreme winds to the south, and has just enough of a change in the atmosphere to create some rotation. And that's what we're seeing aloft, rotation that's up above, that's being spotted by radar, and that really is a life-saving early indicator to tell people that, hey, you've got a possible tornado forming over your head, take cover, and that's what we want you to do if you're in these areas of northwest Indiana at this time. Now, as time goes on, these are the spots where a tornado watch is in effect till 3 o'clock, and that includes LaPorte County, and you go down here through Jasper and Newton County and down here into Illinois just below Kankakee. So you're talking about Iroquois County and areas to the south here. This is a juicy environment, a windy environment, the kind of environment that at this time can support formation of tornadoes tornadoes across this area. Now, that's a tornado watch till 3 p.m. And here are actual tornadoes. Look, we have another one down here well to the south. This will be tracking northeast as well, and that's for Benton County, and that's well to the south. And then as you work up to the north, you've got Jasper, you've got Rensselaer, Valpo is right here. 2 tornadoes that are up in these areas. This tornado warning and the other one till 11:15. So looking at the environment can support this rotation until 11:15 this morning for these 2 areas. And because you have rotation aloft, you can have rotation down to the earth as well. And you know, even though we didn't have reports initially of something touching down out in Naperville a little while ago when we had a tornado warning out there, later we did have reports from the public of damage. Now, the Weather Service will go out to that area. They'll have a site survey. They have a whole team of meteorologists that go out and compare the damage they see, the look of the damage, and determine if it's straight line winds or tornadic damage, and then compare that to radar for time and talk to witnesses out there and then determine if a tornado came through. And based on the type of damage it leaves behind, they estimate what the speed of that tornado, the power of the tornado is on the enhanced Fujita scale that was developed by Dr. Ted Fujita right here at the University of Chicago. So these are some of the areas. You have Walker, Taft, which is 11:23 p.m. or a.m., 11:24, Jasper, Pulaski Fish and Wildlife Area. That's the popular wildlife area out in Pulaski County where the sand cranes come in, and that area is under a threat. So that's this entire area. And again, fortunately, these areas to the south are areas that are more rural in nature, so that's a good thing. But as this tracks up toward Porter County, we have to be concerned about more densely populated areas where these storms that are capable of producing tornadoes are moving. So we're watching these very carefully. So that's the one tornado, and the other tornado is located just to the north of there, radar indicated tornado. We don't have a report yet of a touchdown. You can't always see a touchdown, but that's located just north of there, moving up through this area. Here's Couts, and again, a lot of rural areas up towards Wantana, and here's a storm track, and Laura just drew this, and it gives us Thornston at 11:22 a.m., which is up in here. So these are tracking to the northeast while the entire line moves to the east. This is not a surprise. See this kind of activity this morning. This was hinted at, even though it was a low chance for tornadic action. There was a chance this morning up in these areas to see this kind of thing that we've been seeing today. Tornadoes on the ground in Champaign and Paxton, Illinois. Tornadoes aloft, the 2 that you're looking at here, radar indicated tornadoes in Jasper and moving up toward Porter County. And these are radar indicated, but they could shut down or touch down. We had out in DuPage County the tornado in the Naperville, Wheaton area that did touch down, did apparently cause some damage from the tornado. It was a very strong thunderstorm with powerful winds at the same time that may have caused some damage. So sometimes damage reports come in later. Play it safe. Take cover in your house. Go to the lowest area of the house. Go to the basement if you have one, or go to an interior room without windows where you can hide out in an interior room, have sturdy walls. A smaller room is good, like a bathroom, and typically you'll have a bathroom interior in a house surrounded by smaller walls that are sturdier than other walls you may have in your house, and you just hide out from the storm for a little while and you'll be okay. So these 2 tornado warnings moving up through here, and these are go till 11:15 this morning, and they do have the capability of forming a tornado I don't see, we have no indication here right now, except when you put into motion a couple of very brief hints of rotation, those little yellows that pop up here, you can see the exact track of this as it moves up this way. And those little yellow rotation markers show very weak rotation, but still rotation within these storms that were of enough concern that the National Weather Service issued tornado warnings for this particular area of storms moving through northern Indiana because of the rotation aloft. So we have a severe storm. We have a tornado, a couple of tornado warnings that are radar indicated. We also had some reports of hail. Many times these severe storms will create hail, and if it's hail up to a quarter size, it's one of the indicators of a severe storm. And as you can see here, we don't really have any hail appearing at this particular time out of these storms to really show you. But tough storms down here in Jasper County and up into Porter County, headed toward LaPorte County, that we have to keep a close eye on.
Hello, everyone. Jim Williams, Marie Saavedra here. We're going to begin our 11 o'clock newscast.